Over the weekend, Jeff Bezos' personal newspaper ran a fawning profile of a Georgia politician called Stacey Abrams. Now, by itself, that's not very surprising. Abrams is a well-known left-wing Democrat, and the Washington Post exists to promote people like that. For decades, it often has. But even by the usual standards of over-the-top slobbering hackery, this piece exists in its own category. By the end of the nearly 6,000 words of unmitigated praise, you begin to wonder why no one has yet formed a religion based on Stacey Abrams, the world's fourth great Abrahamic faith. According to the Washington Post, Abrams is a lot more than just a former state-elected official who goes on cable television a lot. She's a spiritual figure. Indeed, she is quite possibly the author of our redemption. Listen to how the thoroughly smitten Post reporter describes an encounter between Stacey Abrams and her devoted acolytes. And keep in mind as you hear this, that we're not making any of it up to be mean. This is verbatim. Quote, "Pandemonium ensues as she walks to the far left of the stage like a runway supermodel, stops on a dime, poses, tilts her head slightly and smiles. Camera flashes explode. Abrams is summoning her inner actress, and she is both enjoying the moment and getting through it to get to the conversation." End quote. So she's like a supermodel, but she's also a superhero. In fact, the piece was entitled "The Power of Stacey Abrams." In the accompanying photo, Abrams poses like Superman, cape trailing behind her. Just in case you missed the point of the piece, this woman is going to save the world. And the Washington Post thinks that's possible. The story was designed, of course, to push Joe Biden to pick Stacey Abrams as his running mate. Now, no one who knows Biden or who watches him carefully thinks he could lead this country in his condition or even serve a full term in a ceremonial role as president. Anyone who serves as vice president under Joe Biden would, in effect, be president of the United States. All of which raises the obvious question, who exactly is this Stacey Abrams they're relentlessly promoting? What, for example, does she do for a living? Probably the first question. And as it turns out, not much. Supposedly, Abrams runs some kind of political action committee paid for by Mike Bloomberg. She also serves on a few boards. All in all, it's not a heavy lift job-wise. Abrams' actual vocation is being professionally aggrieved. That's her real job. 3 years ago, Abrams served in the Georgia State House. That's a real job. It's still, in fact, the highest office she has ever held in the Georgia State House. While she was there, she accomplished, let's see, virtually nothing. We checked. 2016, she did get some publicity for sponsoring a bill that would have ordered police to seize by force all so-called assault weapons in the state. The same bill would have made it a felony to possess what she called a high-capacity magazine, and once again, the police would have been obliged to seize those by force. She did that, and that's about it. Why do we know her name? Well, because in 2018, Stacey Abrams lost the Georgia governor's race. And it was not, despite what they tell you, an especially close election. She came up short by 55,000 votes. That's nearly 0.5%. And this was a cycle with the state's highest voter turnout in decades. And she still lost by 55,000 votes. How did Abrams respond? Well, she pretended it never happened. She declared herself governor anyway, and she denounced anyone who disagreed with that as a racist. Well, instead of calling the state mental health authorities, as they might have done, many of her fellow Democrats played along with the fantasy.
Without voter suppression, Stacey Abrams would be the governor of Georgia.
If this country wasn't racist, Stacey Abrams would be governor.
It was the voter suppression, particularly of African-American communities, that prevented us from having a Governor Stacey Abrams right now.
Yes. Stacey Abrams ought to be the governor of Georgia. When racially motivated voter suppression is permitted, we cannot truly say that we live in a democracy.
If this country wasn't racist, Stacey Abrams would be governor. By the way, as a factual matter, there's literally zero evidence to support that that's true or even sort of true. Doesn't matter. The fact that Stacey Abrams isn't the governor of Georgia, despite losing a fair election with the highest voter turnout in decades, can only be racism. That is Stacey Abrams' position. In fact, she's making the same case to get herself selected as the vice presidential nominee. If Joe Biden doesn't choose Stacey Abrams, he's racist.
Do you think that not choosing a woman of color, a black woman actually, is a slap in the face to the black female voters?
I would share your concern about not picking a woman of color because women of color, particularly black women, are the strongest part of the Democratic Party. We need a ticket that reflects the diversity of America.
Yeah, you need a ticket with Stacey Abrams on it. That's what you need, Mr. Racist Guy. So say what you will about Stacey Abrams. She's not subtle. There's no mistaking her motives or her meanings. Give her what she wants or she will call you racist. It's simple. Another word for that tactic is identity politics. And of course, Abrams is for that too, proudly.
I lean into identity politics. In fact, I believe in identity politics. And I believe identity politics are the only politics that win. And I should be clapping for that because you're here because you have an identity too.
Quote, identity politics are the only politics that win, end quote. Where did Abrams learn that cynical little slogan? Probably at Yale Law School, where, like so many oppressed political figures before her, of course she went. Will Joe Biden fall for this? Yeah, probably. He's weak and confused and desperate to make the in-group, the cool kids. But should the rest of us fall for it? Is not being called racist worth having Stacey Abrams run the country? That's really the question.